And we're live. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for coming in. My name is
Hello, guys.
Joseph. We've got the usual crowd. We've got Adam, Steve, and Costas. Adam, what's new with you?
It's a whole bunch of the same, really. But I've got a couple new models on the workshop page. If you haven't checked them out recently, weekdayweekend.net/workshop. A couple new models, including a couple modeled by Joseph himself. So check those out.
I'm not competing on those, by the way. uh, Steve, what's going on with you?
So I'm working very hard in the background doing some preparation for some videos. I've got some electronics, programming, and um, hydroponics videos. I'm going to be building an off-grid hydroponic system. So going to be having some fun on the channel very soon.
That's fantastic. And Costas, I know you're an always busy guy.
Yeah. It's been worse than usual for the last couple of weeks or months. But I am preparing new stuff for the channel. I am developing new tools that we'll be working with Alibre. So watch this space.
There you go. Hey, we've got some great comments here. I asked, where are you watching from? I think one of my favorites is my bedroom. That's a good place to watch from.
Yeah. I saw that, and I don't want to bum anybody out, but as you get older, my bedroom XP turns into my bedroom Vista. It stops working for no reason.
That was a good one. And then Windows 7 comes Bedroom 7 comes along and everything's fantastic.
And everything's fine again.
8 and 8.1 and it's just kind of awful. And then 10 is fantastic. 10 works fantastically. It's the best operating system we've ever had.
And you think it's going to last forever, but it doesn't.
And then 11 is like teetering on the end of all things.
Well, 11, everybody's looking in, everybody's peeping at your bedroom with 11. So,
yeah.
And I've got my neighbor, Bruce. I think we're about 2 hours away. I'm in North Phoenix here. Hey. Good to have you here, Bruce.
Nice. Good to see you. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in.
Well, we are here to answer your questions or comments. Tell us anything in the chat, and we will react to it.
Project challenges as well, right?
Oh, yes.
Having problems with their projects, it's probably worth calling out, and we might be able to unstick you.
Yep, I think Steve is the most valuable project guy that I know. Let's not waste him. Home office near Metro Tallahassee, love it.
Cool.
Canada, love it. I watched the Oilers game. That was a good one. And Oilers is Edmonton, not Ontario, but I got close to Canada is what I'm saying.
I saw that. This went completely off the rails. Sorry guys. Sorry. This is supposed to be about Alibre. It's all my fault. Sorry guys.
So Linux,
it solves everything. Bringing the penguins in solves everything, doesn't it? Right? So.
It does. Next, Joseph's going to show us that he's actually on a Linux machine right now and
running Alibre on Linux.
Yeah, gotta do the Windows for Alibre right now, but
for now.
You got North Carolina, awesome.
Sound is breaking up. Go ahead and give a quick refresh, just to make sure. It could very well be the stream, but
you guys are 5x5 to me, so I'm not hearing anything this side.
Okay, we're hearing everybody okay on our end, so just double check.
Sound is okay.
All right, am I sounding good?
Me too.
Yep, sounding good.
Perfect. Gotta do my screen share here.
Ken Reha, Debian version. That's kind of what I've been pushing for too. Keep an eye out. I know they're looking for a Mac version first, but Linux is still a potential thing. They're still looking at it. So Debian version is what I've been kind of pushing for too.
We've got V29 to get out the gates, and then V29.1 which is a feature update coming off the back end of V29. But correct me if I'm wrong, guys. V29 is kind of like the gateway drug to potential other operating systems being brought into the fold. So we discussed this on the streams in the past, and just to highlight, yes, there is an appetite to go there, but there is a roadmap that we have to travel first before we can get there. So be patient. It's being discussed, and fingers crossed it'll be here soon.
What is up with that green shirt? I love it. So my wife gave me a Ninja Turtles shirt, and I told her I would wear it on the live stream. So this was a gift, and
that's epic, isn't it?
I love
it. Epic.
It's pretty darn good. It's no Alibre shirt, but it's pretty darn good.
I mean, it's a close second, isn't it?
Joseph.
Does that mean the official food of the stream has now been substituted from tacos to pizza?
Well, I could go for pizza.
Could be pizza with tacos on it.
I was going to say taco pizza. I also need to bring up Joseph. I think you need to talk to your merch guys at Alibre and come up with a button down in that kind of a style with models made in Alibre.
There you go. I like that.
That's a good
one.
All
design
different
contest
colors.
Winners or something.
Yeah, different colors, design contest winners, stuff like that.
That'd
be kind of cool.
idea.
That'd be fantastic. So to summate, green's my favorite color. Got it from my wife, and sometimes a stream just needs a little personality, you know.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Will Alibre run on Debian Linux versus with Wine? Not right now. I've run it on Linux Mint. I've tried with both Wine and Proton. The launcher opens, but I cannot get into a part environment as of yet. But again, stay in this space. If you really know your way around Wine and Proton, maybe check out the forums, because maybe you can figure something out that we couldn't. But stay in this space. It's being looked at.
Yep. That's a good one. Yeah, I saw that question too. That's a good one. So it says, ERSDDS here is asking, how about generating a step file from an AI? I've actually tried that, right? I actually tried to prompt an AI to build me a 50 millimeter cube as a step file. I tried that with Gemini, Copilot. Yeah, those two. Haven't tried with Claude yet, and they just said they can do it. So because it's a very particular standard or whatever. However, if I may just, Steve, hold that thought. He just then continues to ask, then importing the files into Alibre to clean them up. Lots of different ways to do that. The Alibre official channel has a few videos on that. I also have a video on that. Generally speaking, Alibre will import any step file that is not completely mangled up. So if it's output out of an AI, sketchy. Yeah.
So I was just going to contribute to that in that I've seen quite a lot of advertisements for applications which claim to be able to take a photograph and turn it into an STL file. Now I've never used them myself, so I can't personally champion how good or bad they are. But if there is an opportunity for it to create a reasonably clean STL file, there is a pipeline where you could convert that to a step file, potentially using FreeCAD, outputting the step file and then bringing that into Alibre. But the only problem with that workflow is that you're going the STL route first, meaning that it's, depending on how complex the model is, it's going to be full of triangles. So if it's a simple geometric shape, that might be easy to clean up. But if it's something complex, then that might be pretty ugly. So
I'm seeing this other one. I'd love to have the text and leaders in a note change to the layer color automatically when a note is moved to a new layer. An old habit, but dedicated text layers with assigned colors. That is a great thing to bring up. And if you haven't already, please submit that so that we have that recorded as a requested feature from the home screen. I'll switch over to my screen here. If anyone is unfamiliar, it may be worth going through layers. Layers. Oh, and I hit the wrong one here. So layers are different things that you can have on a drawing. It's way more involved, I think, with 2D CAD like AutoCAD, but these things come in a big deal handy, right? So if I add a new layer, I can name it like invisible, and it's a great way to toggle things. So I can just uncheck that visible, and now if I have, say, a versions table as part of my drawing template, and I don't want it, I can just set the layer to invisible, and it's there if I ever want to bring it back. And I don't know why that text stayed around, actually. But anyway, that's the idea, that you can hide things, you can change the style of lines to make them dashed and dotted, and you can change colors. But as it was pointed out, I think the leaders aren't changing. So please give us a request on that feature.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. About Claude, yeah, I got a notification for that one as well. I think it mainly does like a graphic design, like logos, drawings, cartoons, stuff like that. So mostly SVG, DXF, I would imagine. Step files. Actually, you know what the problem with the step file standard is built up to be able to cater to very very complex geometries. So even if you ask it to make a cube, you still get a very large file that has a ton of information in it, because that's the setup that the standard itself needs to be able to cater to those highly complex models. So haven't tested Cloud Design at all yet, but I will be surprised, pleasantly or otherwise, if it can do it. Not sure it can.
We've got Harold L on the line. How you doing, Harold?
Hey, the Grandmaster.
There he is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, I don't have a part of Alibre named after me yet, so.
Yeah, well, it's.
The man, the myth, and the legend.
Apart from being a legend, right? He's the absolute go-to for sheet metal. He's like amazing for it. Both real world experience and Alibre as well. Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting one. Let me. Can I just comment on that? Oh, I think we just clicked on the same thing. But yeah, there are iTools that specifically take a series of images and create a model. You know what? That's called photogrammetry. It has nothing to do with AI, right? And you just touched on a pet peeve of mine. So guys, to our stream, nice seeing you. I'll take over from here. But the pet peeve is, these days everything's AI, right? So I even have a very short, like 30-second video on my channel, one of my very early ones, where I get the 3D model of a little candle in the shape of a church, right? And that was photogrammetry turned into an STL from 35 photographs with a crappy mobile phone. So yeah, that's machine vision, right? We can get into how it works, but I don't think it's it's appropriate. Generally speaking, it just matches known points on the different images and gets the perspective, and from the perspective it does stereo vision, gets the distance, and that's how you get the 3D. That's cold hard math. nothing AI about it. And also it's the same thing with many FEA tools that say, like, topology optimization via AI. Well, it's not AI, is it? It's genetic algorithms, and we've known about them since the 60s. So, yeah.
Well, it's AI is a marketing term used now. They're saying that like rice cookers have AI, and nothing's different. It's just the same exact timer they've always used, but people see AI and think that it's going to be better. It's being used as a marketing tool. However, I mean, it's not to say that with or without it doesn't do a good job. Photogrammetry is still, amazing technology.
Oh yeah,
But,
for sure.
It's fantastically useful technology, and without photogrammetry, we wouldn't have so many amazing 3D models available to us. But still.
Yeah, so MotoX Museum says that, yeah, you can prompt an additional feature into the 3D. Okay, I get that. I get the use case. Nice, but yeah, I mean, we should be aware that it is basically photogrammetry, right? And I've talked about making a video about topology optimization in FEA, and I haven't done that, and I should do it. And I talked about calling the video AI vs YI, so your intelligence, because back at school we were taught how to optimize a topology based on FEA results, right? You remove material from the blue area, you add material to the red area, you run it again, rinse and repeat. I mean, come on. So
there's this one, Joseph. You want to tab over to my screen here, and I'll give you. There's the answer right there.
Okay, here's Adam's screen here.
There's the answer.
It's trademark.
Yeah.
I was told we're looking at May, right?
Way before Half-Life 2.
Yes, Half-Life 3 will definitely take a lot longer than Alibre V29.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's a Grand Theft Auto one too. So
it'll be out before GTA 6 as well.
Yeah, when it comes to getting a date, I have not received a date from development. They are going as fast as they can, and
well, to be fair, right? To be fair, we kind of, we got the beta for the V29, and we all started whinging about everything. So.
Well, that's true. But in the end, would you rather have them release it early and stuff be broken, or take a little extra time and be just right? So I'd rather wait.
Exactly. And this, joking aside, this is not a video game, right? It's a tool to do work with.
It's a tool that, for sure, as we all have learned, CAD runs the world.
Yep.
Like everyone likes to say that such and such runs the world, whether it's one company, one good thing, or another. Who do you think designed everything that those big companies use?
Yep.
I love this because it's like he's looking at the joke and laughing at it. This is perfect.
That's
nice. We do have some good news, and that is, if you haven't checked alibre.com/beta, a new beta version just dropped, so you can try some of the newer features on there.
Sounds nice. Okay. Well, I'm still waiting for the Weldments. But,
I just installed the new beta last night. This guy says I just installed it just now. So that was Harold. Okay, good. Harold. Excited to see what you can make of it. So I literally just installed it while we were setting up for the stream. So
cool.
Does Alibre have plans to have an AI assistant? I haven't heard of anything, and I don't mean to be mean to anybody, but my take on that is, dear God, I hope not. Please don't.
I mean, yeah. You know what? I think... Oh, yeah, go ahead, Joseph.
I've heard it been talked about. I have not seen any actionable items on it. Interestingly enough, you have... EasyCam, and they have a full Alibre AI assistant, and they're not even Alibre. So that if you want one, that could actually be
it's true, actually,
pretty feasible way to get it, perhaps. Sorry, Costas, go ahead.
No, I was just about to say that an AI assistant like many CAD systems are marketing, like draw me this or do me that or whatever, that feature or whatever. Yeah, that's rubbish. I'm not looking forward to it. But you know what would be nice, if we got some AI functionality in the help file. That would be welcome.
Help file, that would be interesting. So yeah, help file, that would be interesting. That would be very interesting. That might be a good
like
place for it.
infos on commands, good, best practices or whatnot. That might be. Will
Tell
fillets
me how to do X, that sort of stuff, right? Is that
yeah, that sort of stuff. Yeah. Like what command does that, or stuff like that. Instead of going through the help file, just have it go through it.
Conversation with the help file.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's what I mean.
I don't know how you have 160 pounds of ribs, but I'm really hungry now.
160 pounds of ribs sounds good.
But you know what that is, right? That's one portion of ribs from the Flintstones.
Yes.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that.
I like that. It's the same answer when I ask for a raise.
Yeah. Soon trademark.
We've got some good ones today.
Yep.
Well, fillets have G2 curves. I believe that was asked about.
Yes.
Well, that's been asked about. I don't remember the answer. I think the answer was feature request.
Yes. So a big question of, is G2 curvature going to come to Alibre? Now, if you didn't watch the live stream where we go through V29, the new user interface of like the V29 specific live stream, there was some news about that. And so maybe I can't spill the beans too early, but maybe I can give you this look.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Here, I better do it with the screen on.
No beans were spilled in the making of this look.
Yeah, so
keep an eye out.
Yeah, there's going to be some changes very likely coming in that direction.
Yep. However, can I just say G2 curvature and G3 curvature, right, is something that's really specific and has really limited use cases, right? For example, a 90-degree corner, right? And you just tell it 5 millimeter fillet. It will not have any difference visually or mathematically between a G1 and a G2 fillet, right? If it's just two flat surfaces at 90 degrees and so on and so forth. So it kind of depends. G2 and G3 curvature is, the higher up you get there, I think there's no CAD system that does more than G3. That's basically aesthetic design, right? Organic shapes, surfaces, and stuff like that.
Uninitiated, what is a G1, G2 fillet? Just give me the 50,000-foot view, right?
50,000-foot view. So derivatives. Derivatives, right? So yeah. So when you have, like, let's say you have a line and another line at 90 degrees. When you make a fillet there, you get a curvature, right? What you get there, you have an arc. That arc has a function, right? And you start from the straight, you go down that arc, and then you go downwards. That function is continuous along that edge, right? So it doesn't break up anywhere. That's why it's a fillet. It doesn't have a solid edge there. G2 curvature is when not only the edge is continuous, right? But the function of the derivative of the angle of the vector of the surface is also a continuous function. It basically means that the fillet is that much smoother. When you're designing, for example, like a bonnet or a fender of a car, G2 and G3 curvature do change how light scatters off of a surface, right? But it's basically, like compound surfaces and weird angles where you would see a difference, not just two flat planes having a fillet between them, irrespective of the angle. You won't see a difference there. But compound surfaces and weird angles and stuff like that, and variable fillets and all that, G2 and G3 fillets would scatter the light a little bit differently. That's about it.
So if I could share my screen here, just in case someone's visual like me, if I were to go down this edge and then run into that fillet, if I were to make a graph, and I'm just going to use a screenshot to draw with my mouse because I am so high tech. If we were to plot the curvature, right, then we'd be at 0, and then we'd hit that fillet and be constant radius, and then be flat again. And I somehow made an arrow. I've never done that before in my life, but there we are.
Okay. Windows 11 Paint, right?
Yes. So that's what that chart would look like, right? Straight, constant radius, straight. But a G1, it would have smooth curvature, if that makes sense. So if you took the derivative, you'd still have a smooth curve. And then a G2 is, if you take the derivative of that, that would be smooth. And
the derivative is then still a continuous function. Yep, that's the idea.
Yep.
Okay. That's the idea.
So yeah, it's really cool when you are getting into surfacing, and yeah, I think that is going to be some big talk here.
Cool. And it's really cool to have that in your CAD system if you absolutely need it. But I've been working professionally for 14 years, designing mainly, industrial machinery and some consumer parts, and I've never needed it. I've never, not being able to do what I need to do without it. So.
You should add Relief Maker to Alibre Pro. That's an interesting suggestion. That'd be an interesting.
Actually, that's not a bad idea.
Considered. Yeah, maybe we can look into it. A help file would be what I would like to see. Yeah, be a reference to look things up fast. Help.alibre.com is. I don't think I've ever had problems finding what I needed on there, but.
There's always room for improvement, right? There's always room for improvement. So if you have ideas how to make things better, I would love to see links embedded in the help file to some of your amazing videos, Joseph, or little tiny quick 60-second snippets of how to do some things.
That's actually very true.
That might be really helpful as well.
Suggestion.
Got it. Yeah, I'd love to look into that. So we'll figure that out too. I was just captivated by this one. Does Libre have a function like 360 canvas? And so I looked up 360. Oh, I'm at 365 canvas. Okay, I'm still trying to figure out what 360 canvas is. So let me know if there's any specific function within 360 canvas that you're looking for.
Oh, is it maybe Fusion 360? Does Fusion 360 have like a canvas tool?
No, not.
The only canvas reference. The only canvas reference that I'm aware of in Fusion.
So let us know give us a little bit more detail on that Raven HCA. We'll see if we can help you out there.
However, what Alibre does have is, if you go into the View tab, you have a turntable. I don't know if it's called gyroscope, basically, which is really cool. If you see it work, it's a really nice. It's a really nice thing to look at, right?
Yeah. The other thing, it might be that Fusion 360 is a canvas that lets you trace an image. So we do have image tracing if that's what you're after. I can show that if there's interest.
If you're looking for image tracing, actually, Steve just did a fantastic video that has a lot of that in it.
Yes. Anything you want to say about that, Steve?
Yeah. I think we covered it in one of the previous live streams. Can you guys hear me?
Can't hear you, bud.
Oh, no.
You might have to refresh too. I'll bring you back in.
In the meantime, while he does that, how to model an eccentric cone. Concentric cones are easy, eccentric cones much more difficult. Maybe I'm missing something.
Yes, I think eccentric cones are the top and the bottom are out of alignment. So just bringing Steve on here.
Yeah, it looks like it. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yep, can hear you.
Awesome. So yeah, I was actually going to say about the tracing function in Fusion. So the video that I did on my channel was looking at two different techniques that you can use to bring an image into Alibre and trace onto it. One is using a smartphone, and one is using a multi-function printer, paper printer, where I use the scanner. And the general rule of thumb is to try and compress perspective as much as possible. You're never really going to get away from removing all of the perspective, but you try and get as far away from the object as possible and zoom in, and that crushes the depth of field. And if you can put something in the picture that you know the exact dimensions of, the example with the scanner I used a plastic ruler that you would use for, I don't know, drawing or just doing anything on a piece of paper. And I used the increments on that to calibrate the image inside Alibre to be able to 3D model something. So that video does go into some depth around that.
Another good option for getting a sense of scale is maybe a coin or a dollar.
100%. Anything of a known size. I mean, in fact, one of the things that forensic teams do when they go to a crime scene, they may well actually put a dollar bill down on the floor and take photographs, and that enables people later on to be able to determine the size of things.
Do you want a completely random fact about that? When this, when AI started happening, when it was still new, they were trying to teach a large language model, to diagnose skin cancer. And what the AI ended up doing is every time it saw a ruler in the picture, it diagnosed it as skin cancer, because the pictures they were giving him, they had the ruler to measure the size of the melanoma, So, yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Oh man!
Not for the people that got misdiagnosed with.
No. But for the AI being stupid, I think, yes. Sorry for that. I don't think they were. I don't think they were relying entirely on the AI. I'd like to think,
Now, Adam, I think you have an eccentric cone going there.
Yeah, it's just with a loft. I don't know if this is what you're looking at, but I just used a loft.
Yep.
So that's all I did was do it with a loft. I just did a circle up here, and I offset this one up here by a little bit. Yeah, 8 millimeters. I lofted the two. It seems to work quite well, and you should still be able to shell it, I would hope. Yeah.
Yep.
Shell's just fine if you need to. So,
one other way that this could be done, if you don't mind me sharing my screen here.
Let me see if Joseph and I are thinking the same thing, which is, I know you're a math guy, so you're probably thinking the same thing as well.
I think I'm thinking different than you, because no math required. But if you go into sheet metal, then we can open up a lofted over here, and then you can just give it different dimensions, like maybe 6 over and 2 over in the other direction, and then it creates. That's a very extremely eccentric cone, but then when it flattens out, it usually flattens out in a really fun way. Look at that crazy shape to get a cone out of. So you could do it with sheet metal. You might end up with a flat pattern that you don't need, but that is another way to quickly do a flattenable eccentric cone as well. Now, Costas, I think you had an approach for that as well.
Yeah, it does. It's not a an exhaustive solution, but you can do a straight cone and then cut it with angled planes. It's still good enough straight cone that way. Yeah,
that is interesting.
because that's just how math work.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. If anyone heard that, I think my daughter wants to be a part of our stream here.
There you go. Hey, hello. That's so cool.
Let's see. Regarding welds, how can I model a stitch weld without having to model and insert each stitch?
That is a great question. I'm going to say modeled welds. I talked to one of the developers, and that is on the list for our Weldments
Is
coming
it?
up. Yeah.
Ooh. That's some cool news, actually.
Yes. So inserting welds into the model and having all that in there. I don't know if I want my daughter actually taking up the scene here, but
Yeah, just in case. YouTube tends to get a little
Because-
interesting with kids on the stream.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's
Plus,
gonna be
people
fun
would not
and
pay any
interesting,
attention
so-
to us anymore, so that
Exactly.
would be counterproductive. And another way you could potentially do it, although as I'm saying it, it's not going to work unless it's spot welds. You want to do like along a path. You could do a path pattern, but generally speaking, stuff like that, you just annotate it in the drawing, right?
Yeah.
Which already has all of the capabilities of annotating a stitch weld, the length, the distance between stitches, all of that is available to do in the drawing environment. So, yeah.
So here's a question on that, because that sounds like more of a note to a manufacturer than something that actually needs to be physically modeled, unless there's clearance concerns or considerations. So at what point do you stop actually modeling something versus putting a note in a file that we've mentioned here for a manufacturer to know that that is a particular operation? Is there a set of best practices or guidelines around how far down that rabbit hole you go?
I guess it would depend on what manufacturing process you're looking at.
Yeah, especially like what you said, Steve. Testing for clearance, you can get just the concavity on the weld spec with what symbol you use and everything. So if I'm worried about clearance, I'm probably just going to model in a fillet or a chamfer to simulate the space that would take up as a shorthand. But
and even exactly what Joseph said, and I would even do it as a different part inside the assembly, because if you're welding two different parts together. You're not welding on the edge of a single part, right? You're welding two different parts together. So if I was looking for that, or even overall weight for that matter, I would just model it in. However, having said that, stitch welds are busy to model, so there's that. But generally, I'll give you an example, Steve. Back when I was in school and I started doing mechanical design, the way we designed gears was with 3 different concentric circles. That's how we designed gears: root diameter, outer diameter, and pitch diameter. That's it. And you told everybody, hey, this is a gear. So it depends, right?
Last week, got my drive shaft to turn in an assembly. Problem was improper assembly constraints. Thanks. Good to hear it's all working, man.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're glad to hear that. I was going to pull up a model for that and everything, so I'm glad you got it worked out, because I
Center of gravity says, sorry, but Sovis just says center of gravity. That's a valid reason to do it.
Yeah.
Yes,
that
is a good point.
Especially for thin gauge material, thin gauge sheet metal material. They might shift the center of gravity. That is a valid reason to do it.
Is there a way to increase the position of Alibre's mass calculation beyond 6 and manually multiply the volume with the density to satisfy my challenge requirements? I've done all of my mass calculation in Alibre. So I'm not... What part are you having? I'm assuming you mean mine, Adam's challenge requirements. I'm assuming you're talking about week to week and workshop. I guess, unless there's another Adam's challenge I'm not aware of. Increase mass calculation beyond 6.
So in short, I think it just goes to 6. Really, I think the multiplying the volume by the density is actually a really fantastic way to work around that. And
you can do all sorts of stuff like that. Sorry for that. Oh yeah, you just put up that comment. 360 Fusion uses a photo. We answered that. Steve actually has an excellent video on it, and I don't mean to be petty, but if Steve keeps making such good videos, I'll have to work harder. But anyway,
Collaborate.
Yeah. Well, sure.
Together we're stronger, right?
Using kilograms, centigrams. That's the make sure you're in the right thing. In fact, my Alibre, I tend to have it set to grams as the default rather than kilograms. So if you're in properties,
6 digits to grams, it's like going 9 digits to kilograms. But what did I want to say? Oh man, sorry. I haven't slept for 2 days, guys. Sorry for that. And Steve, we should get that CNC build started, right?
You're 100% correct.
I know.
Part 55 already.
And so for that Fusion comment, just to completely round things out, in case it wasn't clear, I can add an image right here, and I can choose a plane, browse, and then I can select my image. I think I've got a dragon on my desktop here. And there's the dragon image, so we'll open that. And
a dragon image. I was worried there for a bit.
You can scale it, bigger or smaller, move the image around, and then even add transparency if you need to see past it. But then when we start a sketch on the plane that the image is on, I am able to grab, say, a spline and start tracing around the body of the dragon, kind of badly, but there we are. So hopefully that's up to the Fusion 360 Canvas question. Let us know if there's anything else.
Can I just highlight this, right? This is why I say that Harold is like the grand master of the martial art, living up in a temple in the mountains, and not, that's an excellent workaround. The extrude command in Alibre does not only make straight extrusions. You can actually extrude along an edge or an axis, which is a great feature. And if you also add draft to that, you get an eccentric cone, which is a fantastic way to do that.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Let's try it if we have nothing better right now.
You need to make the axis as well, I think. Yeah. Oh, you're going to make it. Yeah. Okay, cool. I actually used that in a wait, was it a qualification challenge for Two Told Toby? The one with the like the side table. Anyway, it was an assembly, and I did the extruded legs like that, which was not 100% correct, but it was within spec. There you go.
There you go. That looks pretty good.
Well, another applause for Harold. I think that gives us three ways to do the eccentric cone.
Yeah.
Kudos to Harold. That's I think my favorite way now.
It's pretty cool.
Hydraulic manifold. Jeez.
I saw that too. Yep.
I love that. Is that the smog dragon? Probably my favorite dragon in fiction, but no, I think that came off of some public domain STL file.
Probably have to go with Haku from Spirited Away, but Boolean subtract for the top 7 cavities work great. For the 7 side cavities, subtract wouldn't work. I had to do it one port at a time.
That's weird. Boolean is very, very, for me, it's very, very robust. And I have abused it on many occasions. As you can see in my videos, heavily abused it. And it always seems to work. So I mean, I would be interested in take a look if that would give you a better workflow.
Yeah, go to the forums. If you're comfortable with sharing, if you're comfortable with sharing your project files, or maybe make a substitute project file that kind of gives the same thing, so we could have a look. Maybe we can take a look at it.
Some of the things I check just in preliminary fashion for that situation. If we go over to inspect and then check part, I like very high or very high, and then apply. Right. Sometimes fail bodies, faces, edges, vertices. Those can affect the integrity of a Boolean. So if you're seeing any failures, anything but a 0 or a dash, then check into that as kind of a first line of defense. Sometimes coincident faces complicate things. So if you have two faces, like one body and another body have they share the same plane on the face. Sometimes moving things out by 1 thou or something like that will help clear things as well on a Boolean.
Cool.
Or if you're doing a subtract anyway, just add like a millimeter of material if you're going to take it out anyway with the Boolean subtract. But yeah, that does happen, and that's a very good tip from Joseph there.
Thanks. Now, Steve, I think you had something about some quickfire questions, right?
Yeah. So how about these questions to the panel? So I'm going to be attending Maker Central, which is a convention, Birmingham NEC, and that's happening on the weekend of the 16th and 17th of May. And I'm going to be going around not only asking some of the makers that are all over the world that are attending this site, but I'm also going to be looking at the traders and asking them these questions. So it's a quick fire question, and there are 4 questions, and you've got to tell me essentially as quickly as possible, right? So the first one is, what skill do you wish you had learned sooner?
Oh, CAD.
It doesn't have to be CAD. It can be. It doesn't have to be CAD. It can be anything in terms of making. What skill do you wish you had learned sooner?
Me, honestly,
Proton.
Yeah,
PCB.
PCB.
I also want. I'd also say CNC skills if CAD doesn't count.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd go with CAD or Python. CAD or Python.
Oh,
Python's a good one.
Python's a good one, yeah.
Mine is patience. Because
patience.
because I go headlong into a project, and I'm like 5 hours or 10 hours into 3D printing and think, I could have done that so much quicker if I did it this way.
Yeah, screw that. I want it done now. Fast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotta do it.
Want it done now.
All the things. So question number 2. What is an overrated tool?
AI.
Yeah.
He didn't even blink, did he?
Not even a flinch.
I mean, out the gates.
There you go.
Omnicube, welcome to the stream. Appreciate you being here, man.
Yep. Overrated tool.
Not Omnicube. Omnicube is not overrated.
No.
No, but AI is, isn't it? I mean, I've used it quite a bit as a glorified Google search, and it's amazing for that. It saved me, quite some time. But I wouldn't hand off any major design decision to it. And clients of mine have tried to do that, and with varying degrees of failure, no success.
Yeah, subscription CAD for me. That's overrated.
I like how he was debating with
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Overrated
That's awesome.
tools.
You only get patience. You only get patience to trials. Never
Yep.
pray for patience unless you want trials. That's deep. That's deep.
Steve, overrated tools, multicolor, like AMS 3D printing.
Oh,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
I was going to say the
Yeah.
same thing, so I'm going to have to go somewhere else now, aren't I?
Like, I can see sometimes multi-material to do like supports,
Yeah,
especially if you have a very complicated model and wanting to do PETG and PLA for multiple material for supports. Other than
dissolvable support.
dissolvable stuff
Or
like
PVA, yeah, exactly, dissolvable.
that.
Yeah.
But other than that, even that, you only need 2 tool heads or 2 options for materials. But all these new ones with 3, 4, 5, 6 tool heads, I don't see a need for it.
I was going to say I got one. I got one now. I was going to say multi-color printing, but mine is multi-purpose machines. So you have a 3D printer that's got a CNC head on it, that's got a laser head on it. It's got all of these features, but it doesn't master them because they are different disciplines. They have different requirements.
That is correct.
Yeah. I can actually give you one, Steve. I can give you one use case where select an SLS laser printer on a CNC is very useful, and that's water cooled molds. That's the only.
There's always an exception to the rule, right?
Right, but I mean, imagine if you're doing like if you're a company that does a lot of injection molding, a machine like that will pay for itself. But I completely agree that companies are overselling it. It's like, no, you need this. You cannot live without it. Of course you can. Come on.
Right. Okay. Question
Exactly.
three. What is the most underrated tool?
Alibre. I'm going to stop being biased here.
We'll put that on hold
Okay,
for 1 second. There's an
I'll tell
actual
you what.
question here. Anyone to report bugs? If you're on V29 beta, there's a little sad face right on the launcher. If you're on any other version, on the Explore tab, there's the Help button, which then also has a Contact Support button.
Should I share your screen on that, Adam?
Exactly.
Sure. So if you're on V29 beta, your launcher right here, there's a little sad face right here. That's probably the best place to do it for the beta. Otherwise, the Explore tab here, you click Help, and of course it's going to open over here, and then Contact Support.
Yep. Also, sending an email to support@alibre.com is another viable way.
There you go. Or get on the forum and see if there's someone who has figured something out or having a similar issue.
And if you can get the bug to reproduce, that would be the gold standard. And those are the quickest to solve. So if you can reproduce it, focus on that.
Sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to make sure we got that because bug reporting is super important. So
yeah. Well, no, 100%.
All right. Overrated tools or underrated. Sorry, underrated tools.
Underrated tools.
I'll tell you an underrated tool: a pen and paper. I mean, yes. I've gotten stuck so many times, and as soon as I start writing out on a piece of paper, starting to do a couple of math calculation or whatnot, it starts to click. So that's just me, but yeah, for sure, pen and paper.
That was going to be mine, because it's planning.
Sorry,
it's planning, right? It's you can solve so many problems planning. I'm gonna switch mine up, which is digital tools such as Alibre, such as iCAD, your programming softwares, right, where you develop something in the computer before it becomes a physical thing. You can fail without having lots of physical debris, if you like, of those failures. Just cycle over your iterations and get it honed down to a defined thing before you then hit the print, before you send it off to a PCB fab, before all of those things.
I think if I'm going to be more serious, for me, it would be a digital caliper or a dial caliper and radius gauges. Between those two things, the number of things I was able to 3D print and have it fit the first time without mistakes. I don't know if anybody emphasizes those measurement tools enough, but they have saved me time and time again.
Joseph did a little bit of self promo there, so I'm going to as well. Weekday Weekend Workshop and practice parts, practice models, not just my own, but I mean, if you go to your local library, and I know it's kind of probably a ghost town nowadays, go to your local library and find old books on mechanical motion and designs like that, and the relationship between different parts and different assemblies and stuff like that is so interesting to see. There's so many different ways to design, like hinges and clasps and locking mechanisms and things like that, and you'll get new ideas from 100-year-old publications that you'll look at something and go, that's what I need for my project. So any kind of practice models or example models like that are super underrated.
This is an interesting one. Skills I'd wish I had learned earlier: PLC programming in C++ for automation and motion control and robotics. So this guy does automation projects from the ground up, uses Alibre for mechanical and manufacturing drawings, and then PLCs and motion control electronics for machine control, which is pretty cool.
So, are we ready for the final question?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The final question is, what's your favorite cheese?
Munster.
Probably Swiss or mozzarella. Probably mozzarella.
I don't know if Costas is that step away, so I'm not sure if you can has heard the question. Mine is whatever's on my taco.
I love it.
Sound up in chat. So the questions are: what skill do you wish you'd learnt sooner? What is an underrated tool? What is an overrated tool? And what's your favorite cheese? Because that's the all-important one, right?
I'm going to have
that last one's just a confusion, right? It's just hey, what? Just
I'm going to steal those
interrupt.
For Murph. I'll have to steal those.
Oh, 100%. So when I'm live streaming, I will be wandering around asking random people those quickfire questions. So that's on the 16th and 17th of May.
We got Swiss
cheese, nice. Again, it reminds me of that Monty Python sketch, the cheese shop. Diplomacy. Is
that the skill they wish they learned sooner?
That's the cheese. That's the favorite kind of cheese.
Many a marriage has been saved.
Yeah, that's a good comment from OmniCubed.
Should we circle back round and ask Costas the final question?
What's the final question?
The final question is, what's your favorite cheese?
Feta. I mean,
Mine was whatever's on my taco.
That's a good
Havarti.
Havarti. Yep.
See, we're now flooding the chat with cheese conversations.
Yep.
I like this a lot, right? If you're required to create a sketch before you're allowed to start the CAD model, sketching has always is kind of been my stance that whatever you make, it's going to start with a sketch.
Yeah.
Get good at sketches and sketch geometry because it's going to be the foundation of everything that you make. So love that incremental approach. Go ahead, Adam.
It doesn't have to. You don't have to be the best artist in the world, right? Steve has made a video on kind of prototyping parts with his recent based on using images and stuff like that. I did one a couple months ago on replacing my fridge door handle. It was kind of just a stand-in for any around the house problem, and literally just a regular piece of printer paper and a pencil or pen. And just make sure you write down all your measurements. That's really the most important thing, is you don't have to worry about drawing your fillet in your drawing at exactly 2 millimeters or whatever. But as long as your measurements are all there.
Just to add to that, one of the things I do when I'm speed modeling is I will be really loose with my sketches. So, for example, if I'm modeling something for a revolve, I'll create the center at the center origin of the sketch. That's the only definitive thing that I will do. But beyond that, I will loosely sketch the shape and then come back round with constraints to make a line vertical, make it horizontal, set it a certain distance, and use the constraints to then pull the drawing into its required dimensions. So it's not that you have to be great, as Adam was saying, you haven't got to be an artist. You just got to have a vision in your head of what it is you're trying to create, and then be able to translate that into the application by whatever means.
Yeah.
It's also my camera overheated. Give me 1 sec so y'all can see my pretty face again.
It's that Arizona heat.
Can I just add there to what Steve just said? That's a great best practice, as it were, for parametric modeling in general. Because if you start sketching, roughly close to what you want to do, but away, slightly away from it, far enough from it, you're sure to not get any, annoying auto constraints. Like there's sometimes, you might get an equal constraint between two lines and you don't want it to be there, or stuff like that. So, I also do that a lot. I purposefully sketch away from what I want to end up with, and then bring it in with constraints and dimensions. Great tip.
Quickly going back to hand-drawn sketches. Remember, your hand-drawn sketch isn't like a final product. That's not your final printed product that you're going to give to your boss or your client or whatever. So you can make non-standard notes on that handwritten sketch. You can write little notes on there that you wouldn't necessarily put in the final design, just to help yourself remember, hey, when you model this later, do this part, model this bit first and then this bit, or make sure that you keep an eye on this constraint or whatever it is, because it's not necessarily, that hand sketch is not going to be what you're giving to your boss. So you can do some extra stuff that you wouldn't necessarily do.
This is such an interesting one. What I once found within the stack of old sheets of paper that we used for sketches, the signed resignation of my coworker. That sounds like some tea.
Oh, Oof. Yep.
Oof.
Yep.
I like this. Does Alibre have a companion of sample parts and shapes, sort of like a grab CAD source? So there are some samples. I'll actually pull it up on my screen. This is one that I really like. I'm going to copy that and put this in the chat.
So those files, the Alibre files where you get the hierarchy tree of how the object was created, or is it the step file? What do you actually get with these files?
You should get a tree. I'd be surprised if you didn't, but I can't say I've actually downloaded these to try it out. So maybe I'll try it live and see what happens.
Yeah, there you go. What can
And
go
then
wrong with that?
we are looking at getting the parts library as well, right? That's going to be a thing here.
Yes, that's right. So we also have on the Alibre forum, there's resources, and people upload all kinds of things like metric countersunk screws and DIN and human model articulated. I think Costas is familiar with that one.
Yep.
With that
I
little
bet.
story. I still want to know what's going to
None of the
happen with
rocker.
that rocker.
What's gonna happen with none of the rocker? Well, I mean, we need we need a character arc for her. Maybe a
Yeah.
spin-off, you know.
And yeah.
We'll see.
So for those who don't know, Costas put out a video and actually put on a little show with some of the resources in here, and we all are very curious with knowing.
I didn't know what. Yeah, I didn't know what to do. It's an ergonomic human model, right? It can move, so you can test your parts against how large they are or whatever. And I didn't know what to do with it, right? So I did a bit of a stop motion story with none of the rocker. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that we have is if I open up a new assembly here,
Oh yeah, that's a good question. We've highlighted there.
Yes, we have the Alibre toolbox, and we can insert all these off-the-shelf parts. In the newer versions of Alibre, this is getting rapidly filled with a bunch of new parts: E-clips, C-channel, angle iron, all kinds of off-the-shelf parts. So these also are things that you can just insert on the fly as kind of sample parts.
I think it's worth saying until that's up there, another good resource is the McMaster Car library. If you go into the, especially if you're US based and you're actually purchasing from McMaster Car, you can actually go in and select the item that you have purchased and find the 3D CAD file and bring that down as a step so you can bring it directly into your CAD program. That's really, really helpful.
Yes.
And can I just give a tip when using McMaster Car parts? So they come in, and the file name is the McMaster serial number, right? Which is not very useful when you're looking at it, like 2 months later. So they come in as a step. When you're saving it, just go ahead and just give it a meaningful file name, right? Like I don't know, like hex socket M6 by 1 bolt or something, right?
I love that.
Yeah, because if you open that assembly after a while, you won't remember what's what.
Future, you will thank you for that. That is my. I tell you what, I'm going to use that as my underrated tool.
Underrated tool. Well, I'll tell you, Steve. You know how I know it? Past me is cursing me for it.
Right?
So the real pro move is to also have the serial number either in the file name or in a text file also in that folder so that you can also go and purchase that part from McMaster.
You know where it gets stuck, Adam? It gets stuck as the serial number in the part properties. They also put it there.
Gotcha.
So you change the file name, but you still get still get the serial part.
I mean, I can't buy from because they're not here in the UK. But I still use the library.
I think you can.
Can you really?
I think
that might be a discussion for
I'm not sure because I'm not sure what was the let's say status of that project and the spending on it. But I have had parts shipped to me to Greece from McMaster Car.
Ah, interesting.
I mean,
we may need to talk.
You pay. Yeah, well, indeed. I'll tell you what, though, McMaster is not the cheapest one, right? But still.
Joseph, I'm assuming this one's for you, but if this is not for Joseph, then let us know. And this is something that I could be doing as well. Are the files used for video tutorials available anywhere? There's some complex geometry in some of those. I'd love to learn how they were made.
Yeah, so let me post a link here. So some of them are available here.
So I need to get in a better habit of also double posting my YouTube uploads with Alibre on the forums as well. I need to
Yep.
be doing that more.
Yep. That's what I do. So if you are in the forums, generally speaking, if I do something that's a bit weird or complicated or whatever, when I post a tutorial in the tutorial sub forum, I also post either a package or a single part, depending on what it is. So if you see any of my videos in the tutorial sub forum, you'll find the parts there as well.
Excellent. Yep. So, and I posted a link to my personal GrabCAD, so some
Yep.
of the stuff shows up in there. Otherwise, if you have a specific interest, email me, right? Joseph@alibre.com. It's overwhelmingly likely I'll have the rights to share, and I can share any parts that you find particularly interesting.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, let us know.
Sweet.
eBay Scopesman's questions is quite interesting.
Yes, I wanted to bring that up for you, Steve. Do you have it?
I can bring the question up, yeah. Is there a setting that I can make that will automatically implement the F5 command when I exit a sketch? I can't tell you how many times I've got going to make a change to a model and forget this.
And for that, I'm going to say, not that I know of, but please submit a request on that, because I think that is a really good suggestion.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Costas, but I learned this from you. If you
Ways
use
to do
the equation editor,
Exactly.
then as soon as you close the equation editor, or is it when you've changed the value?
No, it's after you've hit OK.
Okay.
After you hit OK, it automatically, and that's in my the black belt moves, I think. So,
Gotcha.
I mean, yeah, but Adam would get it. But yeah, exactly. That's one of the two ways I was going to suggest. The other one is a macro on your mouse.
Not a bad idea. So those are some
Just
workarounds
like
for now.
have a dedicated button that does left click and F5.
There you go.
Are my friends
Although
great?
I have to tell you, when I first switched from Fusion over to Alibre, I did do that a couple of times. I got used to it, but still, yeah, those two ways will get you down the road.
Those
Equation
are some
editor is
workarounds,
a
but definitely
good
put
one.
in a feature request though, because it doesn't hurt to maybe have a feature for like somewhere in the options where refresh the part when you close a sketch. Just turn it on if it's something you want. So it doesn't hurt to ask for a button such as that. Here's one for you. It was kind of answered in the chat, but this might be one for you, Steve. Where's it at?
Is it that heat one? Because that's what I'm looking for. We've lost it. Oh, here it is. Do I really need a press to insert heat inserts properly?
So that all depends upon how accurate you can be. I personally don't use a
Yep, we're coming back. We're coming back.
All right, I think we're back.
Maybe.
I think we're back. Yes. Are we? Hello. If we are back, guys, just tell us something.
I see us on the live view.
Yep.
So we're back.
Hey, there we are. Oh, better hide this. All right. Let's see.
So I think you were saying something, Adam, is...
Yes. So it's basically how often do you need it? If you only really mess with heat inserts, once in a blue moon, then maybe it's not worth spending a couple $100 on something like that. It might not even be worth a couple hours on the printer if you do it very, very rarely.
Yeah.
On the flip side, if you do it all the time, and it seems like every single model you're looking at making or printing or anything like that is wanting an insert, then it might be worth spending a little bit of money or designing something or printing something for it. So,
or if you've got a batch run that you need to knock out, and it's the time printing it is going to save you the time doing it by hand and the precision that you need by hand.
Yep. So I would start by looking at like printables or something like that, and consider what you can do with your 3D printer.
With scraps.
Well, that's a great tip there. But can I just add that if you want threads in a 3D printed part, an insert is not the only way to do it, right?
Correct.
You can design like a hexagonal space and you put a nut there as you're printing, or you can design a straight slot and you put the nut in from the side, and it's just waiting there for you over the hole. You've got threads.
You can also just model them.
Oh, you can also model them. I was thinking about like tiny threads like M2, M3s, and
that. Yeah, that's a little too small. But I mean, like, sometimes you can still get away with small ones. This is UNC 1/4 by 20. This works just fine. I literally just printed this right before the stream. Then this works just fine. This isn't teensy tiny, but that's tripod size, tripod screw size, quarter inch, teensy tiny. So it does still work. And if you're having some trouble, it's always worth looking at changing the layer height. Maybe get some more resolution out of your 3D printer as well.
I did see a video by another content creator. Now it's either made with layers or it was Maker's Muse. They essentially had 3 lobes on the so you got your hole diameter that's slightly oversized, and they use 3 lobes around arranged in equally in the hole for you to actually bite into. And the fact that you are using 3 lobes, it increased the strength of the 3D printed thread that eventually comes in there. So check that out.
That's pretty cool. Harold was saying that you could actually try it out at Maker World, which is a cool concept.
Yeah.
How do you model something that has a pause in the print? So how do I model it, or how do we add the pause?
I would say my instinct was to go to the slicer and show where you can add a pause, but
because it all kind of depends. But in the slicer, I open up Orca Slicer here. It's pretty simple. And of course, I don't have a model prepared for me. Hang on. Let's just find something here.
This is a good comment too. Minimum 3 threads to hold full bolt loading. Totally agree. My personal rule is 4 to 5, and yeah, that's a good rule to go by.
Funnily enough, there's an entire standard and equations, depending on the type of load and the actual load and its type, on how many threads you need. But most steel screws are stronger than people think. I have come to find. Yeah.
So if you wanted to add a pause, you can come over here on the right hand side and drag it down to the layer you want the pause at.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
it will pause at the beginning of that layer. So if I wanted to pause at the top of this, I'd actually want to start at this layer. It'll pause before it starts this layer, right? So in my case, it's right here. It's at 50 layers. You would right click, add a pause.
So that pause, does it park the head
Yeah,
It
when
does.
you do that?
It does.
It does.
And
So
it will wait for user
so
input.
essentially the pause is effectively the same as a filament change.
Correct.
Just it doesn't do the
Yeah, yeah.
retract.
Correct. Which
Yes.
it then lets you also do a manual filament change if you want to, which I have done. I should say with my Bamboo Lab P1P, it has no problem with me doing a filament change and then resuming the print. I don't know about other printers and how that would interfere with their firmware and all that. But on my P1P, has no problem doing a pause, then running the filament change procedure with the printer's own UI, and then resuming the print. It has no problem. So, yeah, that's how you would do it. Now, as far as modeling goes, I would just keep in mind your layer height, and go from there.
Oh yeah, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
Have an integer of layers at the point where you want to pause. That's a good tip, actually. Yeah.
So, but other than that, that's all I can think of. I mean, Steve, you're
Well,
the
maybe
other resident 3D printer.
maybe you want to design the actual piece in two parts and have two different codes if
That might
your
work. Yeah,
slicer or printer does not support pausing for some reason, but I
it
think most do
should.
nowadays. Yeah.
People overuse thread inserts. Totally agree. Plastic screws are
Yep.
underrated. It just depends on what your use case is, Steve. That might be something that's to answer that underrated or overrated question there.
Threaded inserts. Yeah, for sure.
That answered it. Good. I'm very glad that answered the question. Another shameless plug. Yet another modular storage system on printables.
There you go.
There you go.
So
I like this one too. People overuse thread inserts on screws that don't need to be unscrewed a lot of times.
Yeah.
I personally have been using self-threading screws, and I love them. And so, yeah, I think threaded inserts are that's a good point to make if you're using threaded inserts on the most applicable thing or not.
I suppose the only thing you need to be mindful of with things like self-threading inserts, or even if you use a tap and die to bring printed threads into tolerance, is that the friction of using a tool like that on plastic generates heat. And depending upon which material you're using, you can actually get deformities happening. So you've got to be careful with things like PLA, because it's got a relatively low temperature to become soft. PTG ABS is a little bit more resilient, but it's still something you need to keep a track on.
Yeah, this is good. Remember that bolted connection is only as strong as the weakest threads. And so grade 5 bolt threaded into A36 low carbon steel, the female threads will likely fail first, is what the comment says. So,
oh yeah, that's a good way to put it there. Yeah, I also see that a lot in steel parts and machinery. Like use the best types of bolt available. Not necessarily, because you'll strip the threads and you'll have a major issue in your hands. So, bolt selection is not something trivial. Most people think it is, and if you make a mistake, you only lose efficiency most of the times. But there are occasions where a mistake in bolt selection can really come back to haunt you.
Yeah.
Well, Bill Black 3093 is ordering X2 on Monday, X2D. So let us know how that goes.
Yep.
I think we're getting a little sneak peek here, Adam.
The first thing he'll print is a taco, I think.
Probably.
Yes, do it for me.
Yeah.
This is looking good, Adam.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We have any other questions here?
Yeah, Riel out.
Anybody else have any questions or concerns?
Yeah. This is pretty cool. Slant pod.
Or workflows you're having a problem with, or as I said in a previous live stream, workflows that you think are impossible in Libre. My taco will be well supported.
Supported by the Helpdesk.
Nice. There you go. Nah, it's not a Venturi device.
I could see it. I could totally see that.
Your favorite CAD function?
Yeah, well, it's a straight cylinder. Favorite CAD function? Oh,
this is a great one.
In fact, I've got multiple.
Yeah. Shell
but
is
what is a
cool.
CAD function?
I think delete face would probably, or remove face would probably be mine.
Well, yeah, we knew that for you.
Oh, wait. So favorite is not the one you use most often. Favorite as in the one you like the best. I'd have to say Boolean.
Okay.
That's
anything Boolean.
I would have to say patterning, either circular pattern or rectangular patterning, to allow you to sketch one piece of geometry and then be able to repeat it through your model and have quite complex things from something very simple.
I'll give you a +1 to that. I'll give you a +1 to that. Making a circular pattern to pattern things in a rectangular space.
Yes.
And I've got a video on that.
Four corners?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, see an eBay scope,
that's
man.
Square. I said the rectangular, not square, right?
Yeah,
I saw that.
When things start appearing in different places.
Masterclass. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go.
Oh, you can do all sorts of stuff. You can do all sorts of stuff with the proper math. You can do amazing stuff with circular patterns and path patterns for that matter. You know what? There was a going to eat up some time again. There was a two-Tolby model in one of the competitions I took part in, right? And it was a rectangular body, and it had extrusions in the middle of each of the four sides, right? So you couldn't do a rectangular pattern. You couldn't do a circular pattern. So what I did is I did the extrusion in the middle of one of the bodies, sketched an ellipse, and did a path pattern. And it worked perfectly. And I actually use that quite a bit now, right? So if you have a rectangle and you want to pattern in the same location, roughly, in the same percentage distance of each edge, you just do an ellipse and you path pattern, which is a really cool trick, actually.
Interesting.
Okay, that's black belt moves number 3. You'll see that in a video in a couple of years.
Super.
Couple of years.
Yeah.
The other one for me would be like things like mirroring. So whether that's mirroring in the sketch or mirroring in the body. So if one of the things I started doing when I first doing 3D printing was making props from video games. And often props in video games are symmetrical in a given plane. So you can model the complexity in one half of it, mirror it, and then you've got it saves you so much time.
And did you know, Steve, that in Alibre, in the assembly environment, you can mirror and you could choose the mirrored part to be a different part than the one you mirrored. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
You can actually browse and get a different part and have that be the mirror part, and it basically mirrors the location and the general orientation in space and all that. But it's a different part, and it's mirrored.
That's cool.
That's a whole.
That's really cool. That's interesting.
Word. Yeah, and I still haven't found the use for it, but it's really, really cool that it does that.
Adam, do you have a favorite?
See, I think we can tell I like circular patterns. Shell is also a close second. I do love shelling things.
You can do a lot with it.
Although I guess technically, I think it would be very out of character for me to say anything other than modeled threads.
Yeah, that's a cool function.
That's something that cool, it depends, because like it's becoming much more popular now that 3D printing is a thing. And 5 years ago, if you wanted modeled threads, it was good luck, sorry, do it yourself. And then Fusion and Onshape did it, and I don't know about FreeCAD. Joseph, is there? I'm sure there's some kind of plugin or script or something you can add on for FreeCAD, I would think, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so. So FreeCAD does have a good fasteners workbench that has a lot of really pro-grade fasteners that just spontaneously makes.
So, and Alibre came up with a fantastic threads tool for internal and external threads, which is fantastic. Sorry, Kostas, about your luck with your video, but some people are still on older versions of Alibre, so they're gonna have to use yours.
Some people are still on older versions, but it was my most popular video. But you know what? Let's look at it this way, right? I mean, Alibre saw that people were interested, and it gave them the tool, because at the end of the day, there are people that are not very well versed in writing equations in the equation editor and doing library parts and all that.
Yeah.
So just having a single checkbox for it is amazing.
Yeah.
That last
and
comment,
you can be sure that I use the checkbox now and not my method, of course.
Yeah.
That last comment you brought up, Joseph, that resonated with me quite a bit. Where is it? That one. Yeah. About the started off with a computer with 1 megabyte RAM, MS-DOS, AutoCAD. Most of the models are generated to have the smallest file size. Old habits die hard. I'll have to say that I think a modern version of that is keeping your operation tree as small as possible and as elegant as possible. When I started way back using Fusion, I open up some of my early models, and the timeline is like you got to scroll like for days, and there's like yellow boxes appearing, red boxes appeering, and it's just like,
man,
right?
I'm getting nightmares nightmares just you mentioning it, Steve.
PTSD, right?
But sure, exactly,
right. But then you learn how to do things to be more efficient with that timeline, to be more efficient with the file size, with the tools that you've got. That's an underrated skill right there. Have we lost Adam?
Can I?
Yeah, I think we have.
Oh man,
he's back. I think you just had to do a quick refresh here.
Yep. Can I just add something to that? I've had the exact same trajectory as Steve, right? I've been there, but nowadays what I do is I don't try that much. You know what? After 2 Tall Toby's competitions, I don't try all that hard to have a small feature tree. What I try to do is have the simplest possible sketches, right? Have one design intent per sketch and not multiple. And I find that for me and in Alibre, that allows me to work a little bit faster and also helps in debugging. When you're going backwards, you can clearly see what's going on instead of having a huge master sketch, as the term goes, which I never liked that workflow. But yeah.
So yes, when it comes to history trees, there's a lot of different views that I've seen people have, and one of them is forward only, which most people I've heard say that are used to like AutoCAD and things like that. I've also heard that you can use some direct editing to speed up your current process at the cost of having a more complicated tree. And admittedly, I said that this was my favorite feature, but if I have this little mock, really sloppy satellite dish, right? One of my favorites is remove face, because I can not only just change the geometry, I can defeature something completely instantly. I can remove this face and turn this into a sphere. It's really, really powerful.
We need to swap to your screen there, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I had it on my screen in the scene, so let's switch to the scene here. Okay. Yes, I've got this terrible sloppy satellite dish, but if I just hit remove face, I can change the geometry of that. I can defeature the needle in the middle instantly. I can make that into a sphere. It's really powerful. And sometimes if you thicken a surface and you have an artifact from that thickened surface that there's just no way to get rid of, you can fix that sometimes with removing face or get rid of other artifacts from things. So that's at the cost, though, of having a longer, more complex feature tree. And if you think, oh, I have to remove this feature, but when I go back in the tree and it breaks 50 things, I can spend the time to fix all those 50 things if it's worth it, or I can do a quick remove face and keep moving on. So it's kind of in conflict, because I love what Steve is saying, that it's academically perfect to optimize the tree, and sometimes I got to be pragmatic if I don't want to spend all day. So
sometimes you just need stuff to work, though.
Yeah. At the end of the day,
100%.
It's like you're the engineer and you get to make these choices of what's best for your thing going forward. But I think in a perfect world, I would take Steve's approach every day.
I mean, to be fair, I've got no one to answer to. It's not like this is my day job and my boss is going to shout at me because I'm not conforming to best practice or a practice that has been defined by an organization. For me, it's like, if it works, judge me on my results, not necessarily by my methods.
That's probably good advice. Yeah.
Can I just highlight a comment here? It says, when I modify detailed part and return to the assembly, the details are not constrained. To reactivate, so on and so forth. Okay, so most of the times this happens in parts where you have a lot of inter-design relations, right? In the assembly feature tree, you will see an entry there that is there only in the assemblies, and it says inter-design relations or something. So if you have a lot of them, maybe a singular generation doesn't update everything. Maybe you need to regenerate twice. I've had that. Or actually open a part for editing and then just close it again. Especially if you've projected stuff into a sketch off of another part in the assembly. But generally speaking, that's the main culprit. They're heavily relying on inter-design relations. And while they're great and they offer amazing workflows and capabilities, Joseph has an amazing video on that with that office chair. It's almost magic watching it. But then my advice would be, try and avoid it if you don't really need it, right? don't add inter-design relations just as the easy way out. That's it. That's all.
I think I know the one that you're talking about, Costa, so I can stick that into the
with the back plate for that office chair. That was
I'll stick that in the chat if you'd like to see it here.
Yeah, perfect example of how to use, of how you can get design intent from unconstrained sketches. Even that was a good one.
Yeah, there is a question that I really like. This can you add custom threads that can be modeled? I'll switch to my screen here, and yes, and I actually have some. So if I activate my whole tool, and then I click on something to add some threads here, it's thinking a lot because I have these as modeled already. Through the cutaway, you can see these are Stenag threads, which are not very widely used threads, but some of my custom threads are, DIN 40430, DIN 79012, right? These don't ship with the Alibre, they're just all custom. And some of them look really interesting. So how do we get there? Well, we would go to File, System Options, and then we'll say Data Folders, and then you can copy that path there and open up the path, and then you'll have a little spreadsheet at your path, right? This is what my path looks like. And you open up Alibre threads.xlsx, and you just add a new tab. And you can even, it's recommended that you use the template. I have to enable editing here.
By the way, guys, when you're modifying stuff like this, probably a good idea to back up the old one, the existing Alibre one, just in case.
Yes, and that's another good point. If you do mess anything up catastrophically, under options for data folders, you can say restore default thread file, and that will also get you back to defaults.
Good to know that exists, because I did not know.
Very useful. Very, very useful, actually.
Yeah, now somewhere in here there's probably an example, but you also can right-click on something that's close to the custom thread that you want. You can say, where is it? Yeah, move or copy. Yeah, select the one that you want to, click on create a copy, and then as long as you give it a unique name, and then a unique order right there. So you just find your highest number amongst the sheets and increment it up by one. And then on some versions of Alibre, you need to have unique designations. So if you cover all that, then whatever you add for your major diameter, pitch diameter, minor diameter, and all of that will be reflected in the model. This is a Whitworth thread, so it has arcs at the top and bottom. You can make that a unified thread that has flat crests and roots. So kind of the world is your oyster on that. And then the A value and B values, you can see more about those on help at alibre.com. But those determine what the nominal thread mathematically computes to. If you don't care about nominal threads, then you can just put in production data in here and it will make those threads. So I have got a bunch of custom threads that I often go to, as you've seen, and that is how you can create those custom threads. I love that question because it's something that I've done a lot with. GOST threads, right? If you like really rare threads.
Yep. Or JIS.
Yes. Yep. I don't have any here, but definitely those. You can make those. So let us know if that answers your question. I love thread questions. Those are a lot of fun.
Or if you're not modest at all, ISO fine threads.
ISO fine. Yes, I'm fine too.
Yeah, I know.
I love Harold's comment, remove face is a quick way to clean up and extrude that protrudes where it isn't wanted. So
yeah. And you know what? That's actually a great way to do it because remove face is also parametric, right? Yeah, I mean, it is aware of its place in the timeline. So yeah, you can actually do some serious stuff with it. Yeah, good tip there.
Thanks. Yeah, I see Bill Black's comment here. Is there some way to more easily track down overlaps, degenerates,
Yeah,
open loops, etc., after hitting the analyze button? Um, yeah, um, I think what you said there. That's the best way that I know of as well.
yeah, yeah. Me too.
So if you've got a huge model, it helps to start at less and then go more and more and more detailed, so that you can track down compute times if it might take a while. But help on parts with no help on parts with no inter-design relationships. True. That's our previous topic, I think.
Yeah. I don't actually understand what tag means there. No help on parts with.
Is that referencing a previous statement?
Yeah, I previously said that when you change something in a model, like edit in a separate window, yeah, that one, and then you come back to the assembly and constraints don't work, and you need to suppress and unsuppress them and do stuff like that. That's in most cases, that's some inter-design relationships that are playing up, and I just said that try and avoid them if you don't need them, right? And sometimes you do need them. A lot of times you do need them. But I'm not entirely sure what he means, like no help on parts with no.
Is
Do
that
you
if
mean
there's
that
no
there are
design?
no
So
videos
if there's a
explaining how
part
to
that doesn't
design?
have any inter-design relationships, then that method, of course, won't help.
Yeah,
So
yeah, of course.
I would say text block
But it's not the
support
part;
at
it's the assembly, though.
alibre.com. Send
Yeah,
them
yeah,
that
yeah.
part
So,
that you're seeing that behavior, and I think that would
oh,
be a big
for
help.
sure, for sure, it might be a bug. For
Yeah.
sure, send it over.
Yeah, and if it's not a bug, then it's probably easy to trace that way too. So let us know. Yep. Hey, happy to help. Thank you so much for asking.
You know what? Tag, if you have access to the forum, just make a thread there and package the assembly and put it up there.
Yeah, I'd love to see that too.
And yep, and I'm sure you will get a solution.
Yeah, I think we've got the best
If
forum in
you
the
can
world.
share it, that is definitely best forum in the world.
I mean, I gotta say the Libre forum has got to be the friendliest CAD-based forum I have ever been on, because
Yep.
I've asked some questions which are entry level, and not once have I had somebody come back to me and go, duh, read the manual, read the help file. They always come back with a really positive and constructive piece of advice.
Exactly.
So,
and that's kudos to a lot of fantastic users on there. I mean, Harold, he's here in the chat today. Harold is amazing on that kind of stuff. Who else? Ty's on there. You're on there, Costas, helping a lot of people out.
I am, yeah. David J, the MVP of the Force. Yep.
So there's a lot of fantastic users on there that are always there to help. So
100%.
All right. Looks like you need to go soon. Thanks for the answers. Will there be a contest today? I guess we can do a contest. Let's do it. You guys want to do a raffle?
Let's see it.
Yeah. What are we giving away?
We should do cheese as our hashtag today.
Yep. Let's do a license upgrade. And if you have expert, we'll do your maintenance.
Ooh.
All right.
That's some big bucks there, guys.
Steve.
It is actually. It is a bit, isn't it?
Do you want to do us the honor of picking the hashtag?
I think Adam's done an excellent job of that already. Hashtag cheese.
Cheese, hashtag cheese. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's
Hashtag
Adam's.
cheese.
So stick
You know, one of these
hashtag
days-
cheese in the block.
You know, one of these days we should do a contest. And
Let's
and
do
the
it in all
hashtag
caps.
should be all caps, yeah. But one of these days we should do a contest, and then the hashtag should be parallelepiped or whatever it's in English. And you know, if anybody spells it correctly, that guy
Oh,
wins.
parallelogram. Jesus.
It's not a parallelogram. The actual word in Greek, it's a lot easier. It's a Greek word, but I cannot say it in English. I don't know why. In Greek, it is parallelepipedo, which is very easy to say. In English, it's like parallelepiped, piped, whatever. I have a problem with that word.
Just to be sure, make sure you're doing it in all capitals, because I'm not sure
All
if it
caps,
works.
guys.
Or I don't know if it's case sensitive or not. So just to be sure, try all caps.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know if it's case sensitive either with the raffle machine that we do not own or program or do anything with other than use
It's
provided by the
built
streamer.
in, yeah, built into Waved Up Video.
I still see him coming in, so we'll give it a few seconds. Nothing in Greek is easy to say.
Easy to say. I know. You know the expression that's that sounds Greek to me, or that's all Greek to me,
Greek to
whatever.
me, yeah.
Yeah. As you can imagine, we don't have that expression in Greek, so we say that sounds like Chinese to me. So we delegate, right? We say it's them.
Queso sensitive. I gotta hide the text block so that shows.
That's pretty good. I like that.
I'm telling you, these live streams make me hungry, man.
Hey, that's easy to say in Greek.
Hey,
Opa. There you go.
all right. I think we've got all the cheese that we're gonna get. So let's do this raffle
Yeah.
here.
RL Todd feature request. Sorry, not to.
Here we go.
Andrew
Andrew
Jeff,
Jeff,
2791.
791. Congratulations.
Andrew Jeff, excellent.
Let's hit some media here.
Spared no expense. Spared no expense.
Send an email to joseph@alibre.com and we'll get you that prize.
Congratulations, man. If you did not win this
Congrats.
time, remember we do tend to, most live streams, they do tend to do this giveaway. Not all the time, but most of them. So make sure you try next time. Just doesn't hurt. Because you're all in all, your chances are pretty good. So
There you go. I see I like this comment. Oh, I got to get rid of my text block again. I'm telling you, things over other things. So as I move my cursor over the tree, the model area affected is highlighted. It'd be nice to see the same function when running the cursor over each edge or face within a fillet. That's awesome. Send us a suggestion from your home screen, and I'd love to have that on file. There's Andrew Jeff. You're very welcome, Andrew. Can't wait to hear from you. And send me an
Congrats,
email. We'll
mate.
get that worked out for you.
And that's the reason you stick around to the end of the stream, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
stick around. You clearly stuck with us through that big freeze, so we're grateful for all of you.
Yep. And that's why we do that. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh.
Thank you.
no, that big freeze is not up.
That gives us a good reason.
You're gonna make everyone think that it is now.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think that's probably it for us today. We are grateful for you. Thanks for joining, and we will see you all in the next one.